please welcome Scott Cooksey.
For some, bicycles are freedom. For others, transportation. For some, bicycles are recreation. But today we're going to talk about bicycles as business. So I want you to come with me. We're going to put you in the spot, okay? You are in your first major race. You know what? Let's make it big. What's the one race you know if you know about cycling? The Tour de France, right? We're going to put you in the Tour de France. Your first day, your first tour, here you are. You've spent thousands of hours and miles in the saddle getting ready, right? Learning how to get prepared for this race. You've spent hundreds of races. You've spent countless days with your teammates getting to know everybody. You are in tip-top, perfect shape. And you're at the starting line. You feel those butterflies, right? The gun goes off, you start going, and pretty soon you find your cadence. And you're clicking along. You have one job today. Your job today is to be a domestique. That's the French word for servant. That means that you're there to help get other people on your team in position to do their best today. So your job specifically is to go get the food bag when we get into the feed zone and bring it back to your riders so they can have lunch while they're in the middle of a 100-mile ride. All right? So here we go. We're approaching the zone. You go up, you get your stuff, and then all of a sudden, bang, you're laying on the ground. Now we're going to come back to that in just a minute. But let me just test your knowledge real quick. What do you know about the Tour de France? Who wins the Tour de France? How do we know who the winner is? They're wearing the yellow jersey, right? When I think of who the winner is, I'm thinking of a rider who won the race 7 times. Not that guy. No, there's a lot of controversy around that guy, right? We're not talking about that guy. But what we're thinking about, that yellow jersey represents the rider that goes across all the stages of the tour with the lowest cumulative time. That's our general contender. Okay, and that's who we usually think about when we think about the race. But I'm thinking about another guy, a guy that's won the race 7 times, but he's won a green jersey. What's the green jersey, you say? That's the jersey for the sprinters. I'm thinking of a guy named Peter Sagan, one of, I think, the best all-around riders that I've ever had. He's just fun. He's so funny. He brings so much energy and plays with the crowd and does this thing and has a good time. And he's known as a sprinter. Now, a sprinter doesn't have to ride his best every day when he's out on the bike. This rider has to just get to certain checkpoints before everybody else and accumulates points. So if you think about it, who are those people in your business? Who are the sprinters? They're the ones that, oh my gosh, we've got to get this deal closed by the end of the quarter or we're all out of trouble. We've got to get all the results that we need. We need quick action right now. They're not your best player all the time. They're not the most consistent, but under pressure, they come through for you. That's your sprinter. Now, some of you have other folks in your organizations that we're going to call them the king or maybe the queen of the mountain. Okay? These are the folks that, I'm going to use the word sadistic. They like pain. It's about grit. It's about determination. It's about trying to do everything that you can do to get to the top while everybody else like us suffers. Look at me. I'm 6'3" and I'm not telling you how much I weigh, but let's just be assured, me and gravity get along real well. I'm more fun coming down the backside. But it's the king or the queen of the mountain that gets to the top first, that gets to the summit, going up 8, 10, 12% grade. That really hurts. And by the way, the air is getting a little thinner as they go. It gets tougher and tougher. How many of you are running out of breath with me just talking about that today, right? As we go through, exactly, right? So we've got that king of the mountain. And sometimes we need those folks in our business that no matter what, they've got the grit, the determination, they dig in, they do the hard work that nobody else wants to do. You know who those go-to people are, right? They're the ones you're like, hey, nobody wants to do this, but I can count on you, right? And we bring them in, right? We make that happen, right? And so we have those folks. Now, we've got up-and-coming talent. We got to think about those folks, too. They ride for the white jersey. They don't know all the nuance that a seasoned professional in your organization would know about, but they're pretty good. They show a lot of talent. They might even be able to win. In fact, in recent tours, there's been more than one rider that's won the white jersey and the yellow jersey simultaneously. All right? There's multiple ways to win. Now, let's talk about why that's important. We've talked about having sprinters, mountain climbers, your up-and-coming talent, domestiques, right? But then there's all the people behind the scenes. We've got mechanics, we've got a team chef, we've got a soigneur. That's sort of like a personal assistant, kind of helps the rider. As soon as they cross the finish line today, they're already beginning the recovery process to be at peak performance for the following day when they come out. We need all of these people on our teams. So all of a sudden, if you start looking at the intricacies of a bike racing team, you can see a lot of your own organization as it comes together. Now, let's go for a minute back to one other person who I'm pretty sure you've never heard of, who's also happens to be a rider from right here in Texas. It's a guy by the name of Lawson Craddock. You may or may not be familiar with Lawson's story from the 2018 Tour de France, but I'm going to tell you, you already know it. Because at the beginning of our talk today, I put you on Lawson's bike. Lawson was riding in the 2018 Tour de France. It was his first major Grand Tour event. That's what they call these, right? And so Lawson's job as a domestique was to make sure the food got there to the riders while they were on the bike. That was his job for the day. The whole reason he's on the squad is to provide support for the most capable riders and help them work out the intricacies of the strategies as they play out. Well, as fate would have it, that very first feed zone he came into, there was a water bottle that got dropped on the ground. Water bottles and skinny-tired bicycles do not get along well. I'm just going to assure you of that fact, okay? Lawson hit the tarmac, broke his shoulder, cracked the orbital around his eye, and suddenly his dreams were shattered for the Tour de France that year. Except he said, I'm not done. Lawson, like most pro riders, got up and said, is my bike okay? Got back on the bike and kept going. They figure out if they're hurt later. His strategy changed from, I'm going to help my team, to I just need to finish today, and then we'll reassess and see where we are. Sound like your business? Been there before? I think we all have, right? So here we go. Lawson comes up. He gets back in the second day. He wakes up, and it's like, Lawson, are you going to start today? He goes, I don't know. But he showed up at the start line, and he said, I found some motivation. He decided every day when he came out, he was going to take $100 and put it in a bucket to collect a fund that he would donate at the end of the race. And so he came back on day 2, day 3, day 6, day 14, day 19. He finished all 21 stages of the tour, right? Give it up for Lawson, right? I mean, come on, could you do that? No, right? But here's the thing. He won the Tour de France that year. Well, he won an award called the Lantern Rouge, which is an ode to the red lantern that used to hang off the caboose of trains that went across Europe. It's a prestigious award that's been given by the peloton to other riders. The rider that finishes all the stages of the tour but comes in dead last. That still finishes the whole race. Lawson did you one better. He didn't just come in dead last for all 21 stages. He came in dead last every single stage of the race. He was a record setter. He got to define what his success was, and he got to win over the hearts and minds of his fans, of his competitors, of his sponsors, of his teammates. All these people rallied around, and you know what happened? He didn't realize it at the time, but people started a GoFundMe account, and they started a digital bucket, and other people started throwing money. They said, every day Lawson comes out, we're going to bring him again. And he came out again, day after day after day, and at the end of the race, he was able to present over $200,000 check to the track in Houston where he learned to ride as a kid. How often in our business do we have to change our goal based on the circumstances we find ourselves in? Folks, when you surround yourself with good people, great things can happen. It's tempting, very tempting to have a really good rider on your squad that you go, we need 8 people just like that. No, you don't. I don't want 8 sprinters. I don't want 8 mountain climbers. I need a diverse group of people with great complementary skills that work together as a team to bring out the best of every person every single day. Because that's what allows us in those crisis moments to turn those into breakaway success moments that allow us to get our teams in position to win. Be like Lawson.
Scott Cooksey, ladies and gentlemen.